Welcome, everybody, to the Early Days podcast. The podcast all for young, new voice actors who want to get into voice acting, don't quite know where to start, but have a lot of questions. This is the place to be. Today, I'm joined by Dakota Farnsworth. Hello, Dakota.
Hello.
For the people who don't know Dakota, you might know him from Lowe, from
I may be a guild receptionist.
I May Be a Guild Receptionist. Also, Kai from Project Eden's Garden. Yes. So today we're going to be talking about some character analysis and auditioning, since Dakota also knows a lot about that. So I have a couple of questions written down, and I kind of want to start us off with the question, if you're new to voice acting and you want to audition, what is the first thing that you would say you need to do to prepare?
When we start to read a script, or we start to like read the character breakdown of the character, we start to get predetermined notions of how people say things, and so we get locked into that. So the best thing you can do is read the line plainly without any idea of who the character is, and then go from there. Like, obviously know which ones you can go for, but then once you got the lines, like, go ahead and analyze them, come up with a couple different ways that you can say them, and then start reading the story of the show or the game or whatever, and then start going into the character analysis stuff, because that's going to help you a lot better with again, not having like a predetermined notion of how something should sound. That would be what I would say is like the most important thing to start with first. But after that, I think it's taking a second to really analyze the words that are being said by the character in the audition lines, figure out why they're saying them, what's going on in each scene, and then it'll be much easier for you to come up with ways to spice up the lines and make them sound spicier.
I just realized I kind of wanted to start off with, what would you say character analysis is, but you already answered that question just now.
Oh yeah.
So because I realized, saying character analysis might be a little bit of like a question mark, like what is character analysis? But could you maybe rephrase it one more time in like a short sentence? What is character analysis?
Character analysis is when you try not to use the words character and analysis in the sentence. It's when you take a fictional, I guess I'll have to say character. It's when you take a fictional character, you read through their backstories and you read through the lines that they say, and you try to ground them in a reality where they could be a believable person, and you have to understand who they are both inside and out in order to find that. So character analysis is the full study of a character in order to make sure they sound believable.
Okay. All right. So you already talked about reading like the backstory, the details and stuff. But when it comes to really making the character believable emotionally, how would you go about that?
So there is something that one of my coaches, Richard Horvitz, taught me, and it's the essence of playing pretend and playing pretend fully, and entering this like secondary reality of being the character. Is that once you start to understand the character and you allow yourself to say things like "I am this person," and you start to walk like them and use physicality to feel like you're in the character, some of the times the lines don't, as long as you have like the idea of what's being said in the line and why you're saying it, a lot of the times the performance kind of does itself. Like, you can do little tweaks to lines, but for the most part, like, when you've done the character analysis side, you kind of like all of those choices end up kind of just falling right into place. You can do little tweaks, but more times than not, you tend to get a pretty good idea of what you get a pretty good idea of how you're going to tackle something from there.
And I heard you say you had a coach. What was it like for you for the first time to really have to be like, I have to really, in that sense, play pretend and say that I'm this person and that I have experienced this and this, even though I haven't?
Well, so that's where I love that. Thank you for asking that. So for playing pretend and playing pretend fully, there was what Richard had taught me was, remember a time when you were like a kid on the playground, right? Have you ever played like House or played Power Rangers or something,
Oh
or
yeah.
where you pretended to be characters? So like, here, I'm gonna put you on the spot here really quick. All right, let's say we're playing Wonder Woman. All right,
Okay.
like one of us is Wonder Woman, right? So I want you to say, "I am Wonder Woman."
I am Wonder Woman.
Okay, cool. And so then if I say what, then I'll go, "I am Wonder Woman," right? Who is correct?
I think that's really hard. I don't know.
Is there a correct?
Well, I don't quite think that being louder is more correct.
Well, right, but like, so the question is either of them even correct? Like, is there a correct in voiceover, right? So like when you're playing a character and you're entering that secondary reality, and you're playing pretend and playing pretend fully. When you're a kid on the playground, you're just saying, "I am Wonder Woman." You don't like have to like sell it to me. Like afterwards, you probably didn't go up to your friends and go, "Hey, was I a believable Wonder Woman? Was I a No, yeah." Yeah, so, sorry, continue.
No, yeah. I was about to make the same joke. Like, yeah. Did I do it right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so what's interesting is that when we get older, we start to kind of overcomplicate it. But when we're kids on the playground, like if I say like, "Oh, I am Superman," and then if you were to say, "Oh, I am Superman," like neither of us is right, but we believe that we're Superman in that moment, and we have no problem giving that physicality and like fully getting into it. So that same philosophy I think is the best way to go into auditions, is to really believe that you're this character to a point where like you can have fun with it, and you can be that kid on the playground that says, "I am whatever character it might be." So like for Kai Monteago, I could say like, "Hey, I'm Kai Monteago," but then someone else could also go, "Hey, I'm Kai Monteago." They're both of them are correct. It's our own interpretations of it. It's our own flavor of like that's my Kai, and then that's their Kai. That doesn't mean there is a correct Kai. It's just an interpretation. It's like every if you ever seen a musical and you've seen multiple variations of the musical, there like you'll notice there are never two people who play the character the same way, because there isn't a right way to play it, right? It's just you have to believe you're the character, you have to play it.
Yeah.
You have to play pretend and play pretend fully, right? So that's yeah. So I've kind of broken record a little bit on this, but yeah, no, that was one of the biggest lessons that he taught me.
Yeah, so also kind of going back to maybe some experiences you've had in the past to kind of try and relate to something that you might have to be saying in a script. Have you also done that?
Yeah, so that happened with Kai, and like I do it with other characters as well, but I think Kai was the most prominent. A big thing that you can do with characters is like as much as the whole playing pretend fully. If you if you don't have like something to latch onto in terms of something emotional, it's hard to do that. So what I try to do is I try to look at a character and I try to think, okay, is there an experience here, even like very minimally, that I've had some kind of history with, or I've heard a friend who has had history with, or I know somebody that has dealt with a similar situation. And I try to think about, if let's say it's a friend, I try to think about the ways that they handled it, and the ways that they felt, and the ways that they communicated it. And then for me as well, like if it's something that I have experience with, it's even if it's to the smallest degree, you can still kind of explore it a little bit. Be like, okay, like what's a good example? Let's say someone, like the character got their house broken into, and like someone stole your money, right? I don't have experience with that, but I could. This didn't happen to me, but let's say I had like someone stole my wallet when I was younger. Obviously, not the same degree of a problem, right? But the feeling of getting something stolen from you, that is something that you can pull from and go, okay, this feeling, but what does this feel like escalate? And you can kind of like play with that.
Yeah, so kind of build off of the experiences that you've had, kind of alter them a little bit, and that's how you get there.
Yeah, exactly. Because every human being too has different experiences. So like that, like the way that one person reacts to a situation is very rarely the same as someone else reacting to it. So that's where you kind of get to be a little creative with it as well, where you can kind of be like, okay, like this is how I would have reacted to it, but maybe there's like a different way I can switch this around. I'm being very wordy. Apologies.
Yeah, no worries. You also said about so how maybe I say something a certain way. I am Wonder Woman. You say I am Wonder Woman.
Right.
There's no real right way to do something. But then, how do you know when you're quite new to it that you're doing a good job in that sense? Like, how do you maybe stand out? How do you know you're doing the right thing?
So what I did at the beginning was I would listen to the mediums of what I wanted to get into. So originally it was a lot of video games. So I would listen to a lot of video game voice lines. And so actually Persona was a really helpful one too. Persona 3, and actually a lot of games have this now, where you can go back into conversations and there's a text log and you can click so this is what I like to do. So I like to go through an entire audio thing, like a conversation with the characters, and I'll turn the volume off and I'll only just read the lines. And I'll try and give my interpretation of what the line might be said like.
Right.
And then when I'm done, I'll go back through the text logs and I'll replay that voice line. And then I'll listen to the character say it in the way that the actor interpreted it. So my way wasn't wrong, but at the same time, they had a completely different way of approaching something than I did. So I can take those ways of delivering lines into my own tool belt, along with the things that I already did. Okay. So you kind of just keep like building up on top of that. And so the way to know if like you're doing a good, if you're doing a good job at it, one is like listening back to it. And like the example of Persona, if you can listen back to a line of something that you did, and you can think to yourself, is there a game that's similar to this where I could hear my voice in this game? Like if I heard what I'm doing right now, if I heard this in a game, does this sound believable?
Yeah. Does it sound like it fits?
The word correct, because it's not.
Yeah,
there is no correct. There's no. Richard taught me this as well. There's no right or wrong. There's no like correct or incorrect. There's only healthy and unhealthy. It depends on how you go about it.
Right.
And so for the game example, I would always think to myself, okay, this line, does this sound like, if I heard it from an NPC in a game, that it would sound believable, that it would sound like it's from this medium, that it sounds like polished enough to be something that complements what's happening.
Yeah.
And if I don't believe that, or if I think like there could be some fixes, then I go ahead and I do that.
Yeah.
So that's how I would say is like a good way to go about that too. Some advice I have for auditioning too is there's a trick that I used when I first started. It is I would do an audition, I would send it off. And typically when we make and you probably had this experience too, where when you audition, you'll go through lines and you'll go, oh, my audition was great, like I'm really confident in this, and you send it off, and 5 seconds later you're like, oh, it's horrible. It was not like, it was like oh, like they're gonna hate this, like it was not, this is, I could have done so much better,
Yeah.
So I took that and I was like, okay, so there's a way that we perceive things that they could be better when now it's out of our hands, right?
Yeah.
And so I started trying to experiment with that, where I went, okay, when I'm working on this, I believe this is the best I can do. So I'm going to send that off. And then right after I send it, I'm going to analyze what I just did. I'm going to write 5 different ways that it could have been better. And then I'm going to bring that into the next audition. I think we talked about this in the TSC Studio podcast.
Yeah.
So I then in the next audition, I go, okay, I'm going to take all these 5 things that I just did, and then even if they don't all apply to this audition, I can still keep them in the back of my head that there's different avenues I can go that I've recognized in the past that work that could have worked, right? And so then you just keep doing that over and over and over and over and over again, and you'll start to see a very dramatic change in your acting ability when you start to catch yourself on a lot of things that you feel like you could be improving on. And because at that point there's no ceiling anymore, like there's no like skill ceiling. It's always, okay, I did this audition, now I can get a little bit better, I did this one, I can get better, and it's just you can get as good as you let yourself, pretty much. And so that's one of my main methods of how I would say that is good to improve.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Let's see. Yeah, so that's also a great way to. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of when you said, like, oh, you just recorded your audition, you send it off. I was kind of too scared to listen to my competition, I should say, or like other people going for the same auditions. Because I used to feel like if I heard somebody that did a really good job, I was kind of, what do you call it? I didn't feel like maybe I could match up to that level anymore.
I see. Yeah, you're kind of
Yeah.
comparing. Yeah, I
Yeah.
gotcha.
So I ended up, because I realized that that was kind of effective. Yeah, so I used to kind of, since I recognized that that feeling and that behavior, I kind of trained myself to not listen to the other auditions and just do my own take. I feel like that probably also helps with, in that sense, sounding original, like with your original take, how you understood the audition script or something like that. Have you ever struggled with something like that?
So the answer is yeah, and that's another thing too, and actually that also goes into the whole find five things that you could have done better as
Mm.
well, because you can do this angle as well, and CCC has made this possible where let's say you send it off and like you're saying you go and you listen to other people's reads and you're like, oh, this could have been so much better. Well, now you can take notes.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can go, ooh, what makes me believe that
Mm.
this is much more the direction that they're looking for. Why is that? Is there like an inflection they're giving? Is there like a specific tone they're giving? Is there like, does it sound like they're just kind of in it
Mm.
more? Like, does it sound like, and what about the line makes me feel that way? And so like you can kind of do a whole analysis on their lines as well and
Yeah,
go, okay,
that's true.
there's a friend of mine named Eric Sheffield who I met after I had booked a role for a game called Dispute, and he reached out to me. He's like, hey, can I listen to your audition? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And so I sent it to him. He's like, oh, gotcha. Yeah. He's like, just so you know, this is not me. Like, he's like, just so you know, this is not me being like a pestering or whatever. He's like, I like to take notes on like why, like when people get book roles, what it is that made the role something that the director wanted to book. And
Yeah.
so I was like, oh, that's a great way to learn, you know?
Mm.
And so he has like a whole journal just full of different auditions that he's heard in the past and what about those specific auditions made them stand out from the rest.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that is a perfectly valid way of going about note taking.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I definitely have felt what you're feeling of being like, oh, I sent something and I went, oh, this person, they did it so much better. But the something that one of my older acting teachers told me as well is that when you the way to combat things like, and we were talking about envy the last time that we were on TSC,
Mm-hmm.
was one of the ways to combat envy is to flip it into something educational. And so like you didn't know something before that you're noticing because someone else brought it to the table, but that means that now you can start bringing that thing to the table, and then you can learn where they got those skills from. Like you can message them and go, hey, like I'm just curious, like were there any resources that you've used in the past that I can learn off of? Like there's so many
Mm-hmm.
the door kind of opens up in your favor when you start to look at it in that
Mm-hmm.
light.
Yeah, I also think it really helps with that feeling of like, oh, I think it's kind of a mix of a feeling like I don't quite know what is that specific thing that they had that makes it so special. But then, indeed, if they're open to like questions and answering, like, oh, well, I use this and this, and I actually learned a lot from this and this, then that can really help with that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Because yeah, and you're right. Some people don't. When you hear like when you hear the audition, there is like a sense of like I don't know what it is that's making me like feel this way. Like get what detail it is, and that's where you can go to the source and go, hey, like I'm just curious, like what was your process?
Yeah.
You know? And
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, and one of my questions was also what do you do when you don't get a role? How do you stay motivated to keep trying? But I suppose the answer would be to flip it into something educational and try and learn
Yeah.
from it. And yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah. Send in. What is it? The concept of send and forget that we talked about before. Send and forget is very helpful, especially when you do a lot of auditions. It kind of becomes something where it's like you kind of hope you forget about it. in a way, because when you go for something and you have in the back of your mind like, oh, I really want this thing, and it's gonna happen with roles. Like it does, like even with me today, like I still do that at times where I go, damn, really cool if I got in that, like, you know, but at the same time, like more times than not, I find it more enjoyable if I totally forget that something exists, because one, it becomes a nice surprise. Like if they message me in the future and they go, hey, you got booked for this role, and I go, I don't know who you are. and then I look into them, I go, oh, this project. And so I go, okay, cool. Like, I'm glad that I got like found for that. And so it becomes something of like it becomes a very positive thing. Like once you go, oh, like, okay, like I've done my part, I sent this off, I'm gonna move on to the next thing. If it comes up later, and it comes up and you're like, oh, like you got it, like you feel so good about it, right? And so not only are you not carrying around the baggage of thinking about it all day, you're also like, okay, now I booked the role and now I can just enjoy it, right? I feel like I answered one part to that question. What can I get a repeat, because there was something else I wanted to add to that.
So how do you stay motivated to keep trying? I think that's the part maybe that you wanted to my full question was, what do you do when you don't get a role after auditioning? How do you stay motivated to keep trying?
Okay, so when you don't get a role after auditioning, if you've worked on enough things, if you've auditioned for enough things, you're probably not going to be focused on it at all in the first place. So like there's been a couple of times where I've auditioned for something, I found out like a year later it came out and someone already had it, and the audition, like the role announcement was like the year before, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like obviously I didn't remember it, so I was like, okay, like, you know, like cool, like, yeah, like glad, happy for them, happy they got it, but yeah, no, like, is what it is, you know. To stay motivated, that's a really big one. I personally believe in having a North Star. I believe in, even if you don't know, like so a good example would be like, I've talked about, I want to be in Vigilantes, in the My Hero spinoff, and that has been my North Star since I started voiceover. And so I was like, okay, regardless if I can even achieve this, I'm gonna work towards it as if I can.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna keep doing all of these things and going to all these different conferences and classes and learning all the skills that I would need to develop into getting to this end goal. And whether or not I get to it, if I audition for a bunch of projects, I book them, I learn all the things I need to learn, I get there. Even if I don't get that role, I can still look back on everything I just did to get there, and all of the things that I have gained in that time is in ways way better than whatever the end goal would have been. You know what I mean? So so that's a big thing that I'm thinking about right now with Vigilantes, because it's going to get announced in April who gets the roles or not, and whether or not I get it or not, I can still look back and go, I got into Eden's Garden, I worked with TSC for the longest time, that's where I started, met a lot of really cool people, made some great friends, right? Slightly insulting as well, I got onto my first Switch game, I got into my first Steam game, I got into my first Xbox game, like all of these different things that happened, all of like the cons that I went to, the friends that I made, all this stuff, like regardless of if you get that, it's still like, the way to stay motivated is to create that goal for yourself, so that way this is the thing you're focused on while you're putting in the work, and then when you've put in the work, you can fully enjoy everything that you've just done, regardless of if you get it or not.
Yeah. Like,
does that make sense?
Yeah. So if I understand, it's like you're focused, kind of like in the distance, you're focused on a goal. If you don't get it, then you can still enjoy literally looking back, like, oh, I've already got all of these things, and now I'm already in a lot of things that maybe you have a new gratefulness for.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, imagine there's like something high in the sky that you're trying to grab, but you have to stack a bunch of stuff to get there, right? Well, so like every single thing that you do up to that point is making that huge stack to get to this thing. Well, it all, like, you know, even if you don't end up reaching it, look at all this cool stuff you just stacked.
Yeah.
This is a bad analogy.
No, but yeah. I also recently was talking to somebody about this, but the fact that I've also realized if you really put yourself to do something and you really go for it, you just try, you just maybe send that email, go for that audition, you know, you just do it, then you've already put in most of the work to get there. Like, you need to do it, you need to put yourself out there and make yourself known.
Yeah, pretty much. And having those like long-term goals of being like, okay, like, so let's say an audition, I don't book it, like say this is the North Star, and an audition, I don't book it. Well, this audition, even if I didn't get it, this technically wasn't the goal. So like, let's figure out how I'm going to get it, where I'm going to go next time to start going further towards this thing. So it becomes more of a, just because you quote failed this audition, you can still learn the skills in order to go to the thing you're actually trying to seek. And then you grow and you develop and you get stronger, and you do a lot, your skills develop a lot more in order to get in front of that, and then you just grow significantly as a person. And no loss truly feels like a loss. It all feels like a learning experience.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. And also a great way to really be like, well, look at it more like maybe you can't directly take the shortest route somewhere, but you can put down the stepping stones to get there, make yourself stronger, and learn more, and then eventually, hopefully, get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then if it doesn't work out, you can just go, all right, let's put the North Star somewhere else. And and then you put it there, and then you just keep going. Yeah.
It's just it's a good way to also keep going. Because I also remember I've had kind of, people also talk about dry spells, but I've had it more that I've had periods where I've been auditioning a lot. Maybe you rarely really land something at the start because of, well, it could have different reasons why. Maybe you don't have the perfect equipment or not the perfect skill yet. And then you kind of lose motivation a little bit. And then at some point you just kind of go like, oh yeah, I want to try again, you know, let's go for it. But it's kind of hard dealing with that sometimes, really losing your motivation for a while. And then
for sure. Yeah, I think the dry spell side of things too is like a lot of stuff with VAs where like, and then a lot of people come up to me asking about like, oh, dry spells, how do you deal with them and such. And a lot of it, I find that a lot of solutions to a lot of these are like perspective switches. So for the dry spell thing, it might not necessarily be like, oh, like, what is it? It could be, yes, it could be that you might need to develop a skill a little bit more, but at the same time, I think in general that's something that most VAs should pretty much be doing at all times, more times than not. Sometimes as well, it's just that the projects that are currently up right now, the voice they're seeking just might not be what you have, like what you have, or what your Wonder Woman might not be the Wonder Woman they're looking for. Marissa Lenti, another one of my teachers, taught me what is it, if the director wants mint chocolate chip ice cream, if you give them strawberry, they don't want strawberry. It's not that strawberry's bad, it's just not, it's not mint chocolate chip. Even if it's mint with sprinkles, well, they didn't want mint with sprinkles, they were looking for mint chocolate chips, so they're not going to have mint with sprinkles. If you just give them mint, well, they didn't want mint. So, but then someone brings them mint chocolate chip and they go, yes, that's what I'm looking for. So it's not that all of these other flavors of ice cream are bad, it's just that this just happens to be what they're looking for. So even with those dry spells, it says nothing about you as an actor or an artist or anything. It's just that it just might be that this specific like set of like season of auditions might not be looking for the flavor of ice cream that you are presenting.
Yeah. All right. Kind of talking more about confidence as well, like, do you have any tips for staying confident and improving skills? Because we were talking about VAs should always try and like learn new things, or what was it exactly that you said?
That's where like developing new skills comes in, and that's how you can kind of keep yourself on learning new skills. Another thing I do is if I ever feel like I'm kind of hitting a wall with voice acting work, and there's like perspectives in voice acting just aren't helping me, I will go and I'll find other perspectives from completely different mediums, which I've told you all about. Gordon Ramsay is one of my biggest, is definitely one of the biggest perspectives I get a lot of my own work from, my own work ethic from. And you know, he has nothing to do with voiceover, but if you can take something that someone says or a lesson that someone gives and you can reframe it into something that works for you, that is the same as any other form of teaching that you'll learn in, say, voice acting. If a teacher teaches you something of like, oh, how to audition, 9 times out of 10 what coaches want you to do is take the things they say and then work it in a way that makes it work for you. Like, they don't want you to copy and paste it. They want you to find a way that it works in your brain, in your process, right? And the same goes for other mediums. So like Gordon Ramsay does cooking, but in terms of standards, I can definitely take the lessons that he learned, that he has on standards in food, and I can think about the standards in the performances that I'm giving and make sure that I am always proud of what I'm sending. Yeah. And so then when I send things that I'm proud of, that's what makes me confident afterwards. Is when I'm making sure that like every single thing that I'm sending, even if it's not perfect, because it will never be perfect, as long as it shows what I bring to the table, that is enough. Something one of my English teachers taught me. I keep saying stuff like this, like, oh, my English teacher taught me. I do that a lot because I try to take from as much stuff as possible. One of my English teachers taught me is a lot of times when we feel like unconfident, like let's say we're in a room full of people that we don't know and we don't know how to talk, we don't know how to speak with them, we feel very unconfident, very uncomfortable, like we feel like we're not really knowing what to say. Key words in that is that we feel like we don't know what to say. We feel like we don't have the knowledge in order to handle something. Or not even just knowledge, but not having a specific skill or trait or something that that we believe like will define whatever is like bad in a situation, right? So for like voice actors, like feeling like, oh, because I never did theater, like I'm not confident in my abilities because I feel like I don't know as much. So the solution to that is, if you want, go to local theater or practice a bunch in voiceover to make sure that you understand what you need to do, get a teacher, or, like get yourself feeling like you get yourself into the mindset where you feel like you understand what you need to do. And that's where you'll become confident. Yeah. A lot of people do believe that when they're going through something, they feel like no one's ever gone through it, or it's not quite like what they've been through. But you'll find that even if that's not the case, there's still people out there who, though they might not have gone through the same thing, they've gone through something similar enough to where they have the words or the knowledge of tools or something, or a skill that you don't have, that can get you through that obstacle. Yeah. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, like they've already gone through some type of lesson to kind of help you along as well.
Right. And what is it? And Google is, in my opinion, one of the best inventions ever made. Because you can search, because if you're ever feeling like, let's say I'm not feeling like I'm good at talking in social situations with people I don't know, right? Well, I can go on Google and I can go, hey, how can I get better at talking to people in social situations? And there will be tons of articles that come up of how you do that. And then same thing applies to where you can go and try and learn those things, and some of those lessons might not apply to you, they might not speak to you, but then some of them do. And you can form them into how you work as a person, and then you can start writing those down and getting more comfortable in it. And then you start to kind of build up your skill set in that. And Google's fantastic for that, because you can do it with like every skill. I know my old roommate, he taught himself 8 instruments. Oh. And yeah, I was like, holy shit. And he was just Googling stuff. He was Googling what is it, for guitar he was Googling
the chords and
chords, yeah. And what is it, and he was going out and actively seeking the knowledge, because he was like, oh, I don't feel very confident in my guitar playing. And he was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go like get the resources I need to learn guitar. I'm gonna watch YouTube videos on it. I'm gonna study how people hold the guitar, so that way I know I'm holding it correctly. So when you start to flip it into that when you start to flip things into that direction, a lot becomes very possible, as long as you're kind of willing to commit the time to learning it.
Yeah. I also remember when I was first starting out that I was also kind of Googling. I think I was watching like a series and I was like, oh, this is really inspiring. I want to do something like that. And I just started Googling how to become a voice actor. Like, that's the.
Yeah.
And then watching YouTube videos and stuff like that.
Did you watch Breezy by chance?
I don't think Breezy. I watched a video which was, it's kind of old, but it's a video from CDawg VA about like some about microphones and stuff like that. And I don't know if this is her, but also a girl with like a baseball cap turned backwards.
Yes, that's Breezy.
Yep, Yep. I also remember that video. Yeah, and stuff like
you and I started on the same videos. That's pretty funny. I like that. Yeah.
It's kind of like those goldies, those videos. Yeah, I remember watching those and being like, oh, this is so cool. I really want to get into it. And with the way that I started as well, I was kind of just Googling and yeah, just you got to start somewhere. You got to start trying. Yeah.
Yeah, how to do this is one of the best things that you can ever search on Google.
Yeah.
Because you will always find an answer, and that's great. And I love Google for that. And unfortunately, you know, there's some things that it's a little bit more difficult. Like, let's say, like, how do I lose weight? And then you'll find a bunch of people who go, oh, you gotta take like supplements, and you gotta take our protein powder and da 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 da. It's like, okay, like all right, advertisements everywhere, like that. Some stuff like that. There are some things where it's like a little bit harder to find that information, so that can get a little bit difficult. But if it helps if you have someone that you know that does that stuff, and then they can kind of show you the way. But what is it for most things though, like especially creative fields, you can typically find those things online. What is it, recently I'm starting to get into game development, because I'd like to learn how to program. I'd like to learn how to do 3D modeling and build environments and such. And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna probably have to use like Unreal Engine because that's like the industry standard, right? So I got that, and then I was looking up I just started looking up like, okay, what kind of games do I want to make? Okay, and I looked up how do you make an RPG, for example? Like, let's just go with that. And so there was a guy who made an 100-part playlist of how to make an RPG, like how to make a full like RPG fantasy game. And I'm like, perfect, you know, like perfect, like this works out great. So what is it, so yeah, no, you like, it's crazy because like sometimes there's videos like that where they'll only have like 1,000 views, but they exist, they're out there, like you can find them. No, there's a whole ton of possibilities with all the skills that you want to learn. So
yeah, I think a big takeaway is also that people who don't know a lot about also voice acting, but also editing of like if you want to have certain sound effects or whatever on your voice, a lot of people are like, well, I don't know how to do it, so and they get a little bit down about that they don't know how to do it. But I think the biggest takeaway is just if you don't know something, just look it up. There are tons of tutorials online, tons of ways to do certain things. Like, no one way is the perfect way. It's just there are so many ways to roam.
That's exactly the case. It's with there was a buddy of ours in Eden's Garden. He's our head programmer. One of my this is a story I'm going to tell. If I get like guest appearances at conventions, this is one of the stories I'm going to tell if I'm ever asked questions about like learning things. So his name is Sweden, and Sweden was 19. And one day goes, I'm gonna just learn how to program. And so he's using Google. If he doesn't understand a word, he'll like look up the definitions of those words, and he'll fully analyze like entire documents of what he's doing to make sure that he understands it 100%. And then he'll start coding. After like 2 years, he was putting together like full games in crazy amounts of time. And then he got so good at it that he started teaching college classes, like college students, on how to do programming. And I'm like, oh, that's crazy. Like, if you look at what Sweden has proved to me is that if you truly want to learn a skill, and you really just like stick your head down and you allow yourself to fully get into it, anything's possible. You can become a master at it if you just put in the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Sweden's pretty cool for that.
Yeah.
Don't tell him I said that. Don't tell him I said that. We don't want it. We don't want you going up here. I'm just kidding. No.
Ah,
no.
No.
No. Cool. No.
I
Cool
think
dude
it's
though.
a great
Yeah,
compliment. Like, I think it's really smart. I definitely very like. Also because not a lot of things for everybody are accessible. It's like you don't always have the money to go to classes, or maybe you can't have like sometimes in a theater group they have kind of like a yearly payment or something so that you can still be a part of the group. If you don't have any access to those things, but you do have internet, you know, you can do a lot of stuff with that as well. I have a question about how do you keep practicing your voice acting skills when you're not working on a project or audition? So outside from the looking things up, I suppose? Like, how do you also, keep practicing? How do you keep practicing when you're not auditioning?
The thing that's really great about voiceover is that literally any text that you read in a book is something that you can use for practice. So like reading books out loud is a really good way. I like to use manga because I'm a big old nerd. But yeah, so I'll read a manga and I'll like challenge myself to go through like a chapter or two, and I'll play one or two of the characters, or I'll try to play all the characters. And I'll just try to like practice my deliveries, and sometimes I'll do it in front of the mic, and then I'll go ahead and listen back to a lot of my performances, and I'll go, I could have said this line a little differently, I could have said this a little differently. So it's like it's definitely with for voiceover, it's there like we're lucky because we can do it pretty much at every time of the day. What is it? I remember Steve Bloom had a class, and one of the things that he said was he had a friend who, in order to practice voiceover when he just had nothing to do, nothing that he could like practice with, he would watch like videos, or he would go outside and find bugs, and he would just start narrating like the bugs or whatever, and like as like most people would look at him doing that going like, this dude's crazy, you know. but it in the same vein though, he is allowing himself to be creative, have fun, and he's willing to he's trying to increase his improv skills and increase his deliveries, and you know, so like even like in something like that where it's kind of goofy, I will say, it is kind of goofy, but like it is still harboring the same lessons of he's getting the practice, you know, he's doing the thing, he's actively checking in with how he's doing performance wise, same things, you know. And yeah, it's a little unorthodox, but what is it? Yeah, but we are lucky in that there's plenty of ways to do it.
I've also seen and heard people whenever they go through those dry spells where they don't land anything, that they kind of work on stuff like social media or networking, posting content, stuff like that. Would you suggest people starting out with voice acting do that too? Like maybe if you're not auditioning, then go on social media, start networking, post content, stuff like that?
Yeah, I think networking is probably one of the most important things you could do. It's not the most important, but I know that by meeting directors when I started, and by meeting a lot of actors when I started, a lot of times what will happen is, like, let's say there's a role in a project and the director says like, oh, like we need someone for this, but we really don't have the time to be doing a casting call. I can go, well, I know this person, and then they'll have them like do a quick like demo line, and then they'll determine if that's the person they want or not. And sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, but so you can kind of hook friends up with those roles, and in the future those same friends will also typically do that for you as well.
Yeah.
And the whole term is the tide raises all ships. And so when the good thing about voiceover is that there's a very like back and forth collaborative feeling about growing, because the colleagues that started at the same time as I did we've all grown together over time. And you know, some of us have gotten a little bit further career wise in terms of like being like full-time, or you know, just like in the studios that they've worked with. But in looking at it though, I see those same colleagues working hard every day, as hard or even harder than they were working before, and I can see the progression of all of us together. Even if we're not necessarily on the same path in the same projects, we are still going up like this together. And so what is it, I'll throw a specific example. There's an actor named Nathan Wagner that I have a lot of respect for, and recently I've seen his work for a very long time. There was a podcast I listened to recently that I didn't know he was on. And it's called Cabin Tales. And so I listened to his naturalistic reads, and I went, oh wow, damn, he's really spicing it up. Like he's like, he sounds really good. And so then all of a sudden, like a week or two later, a director contacts me and goes, hey, like we're looking for like a deep voice character that has a very naturalistic read. And I'm like, well, I know this guy named Nathan Wagner. I know he's really good. I just listened to one of his things. Let's get him on here, you know? And so that's where networking, I think, is really important, is because like me knowing Nathan, I know where his skill set is. I know that if I were to recommend him for something, that he's gonna give, like he's going to put in 110%. He's going to do great work, and he's just a really nice guy. So it's like all these things around. It's easy for me to make those recommendations. And if you are doing networking as well, people can start making those same recommendations for you. And sometimes there's even opportunities like auditions that you won't hear about unless someone tells you about it. And I've had that a couple of times where, like, what was one of them? One of the recent ones. I got one in my DMs actually. I'll have to look at that in a little bit. But what is that? A friend of mine named Karma sent me an audition yesterday, and he was like, "Hey, there's this character. It was an audition that was posted in this server. It was for a video game. This like a male protagonist. They only put it in this server. Here's the link. Here's the server link. Da da da." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." So what is it? So like those are things I would never have found out unless like I knew people that knew that I had the style of vocals that would be needed for that role and would be willing to send them to me. So no, network is really, really, really important there. I think it's always good. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know about you, but it also makes me really motivated that somebody thought of me. I'm like, oh, you thought of me? Oh, wow, yeah. That makes me even more wanting to really go for that.
Yeah, and it's that's a big thing. That's a really big thing too, and the support of the community is incredible. So when you meet those people, it's really great. And and like it is really nice when they're thinking of you. And you know, when let's say like you book a role too, like what is it? It's really cool when you book a role, how many people jump on a post and go, "Oh my god, great job, good job." And then when they post like a role like a week or two later, and they go, "Hey, I got this," we can go, "Oh my god, this is great, good job." And so it's like this all around supportive environment, and everyone's just like happy to be there, and it's really great. And then not even just networking. So you were saying other parts of your business as well. As far as like practicing, that's always super important. I think you should always, like, if you're not, like, obviously I think take break days, but if you're noticing you're not getting work for a while, there's nothing wrong with trying to go ahead and practice a bit. Sometimes you can get little workshops together where you can get a bunch of VAs with networking, and you can come together and say, okay, once a week we're all gonna sit down and we're gonna read this manga, and we're gonna cast everyone as a character from this manga, and all of us are gonna go through, and after every couple of pages we're gonna give each other notes and do that stuff. So like and so not only are you interacting with people, you're networking, and you're also showing off your skills in real time, and you're learning new things. And so everyone in that environment is benefiting, and then those things can spread outwards and go to different places. And then there's brand wise as well, so social media. You know, building a website, getting a demo, getting headshots, doing all those things are really important too. So like if you do have dry periods as well, that gives you the time to work on those things. I know that there have been some seasons where I've worked where I just like I was working my day job, and then I would come home and I'd be working on projects, and I'd have to go straight to bed, and I do that like every day for a couple of days. And and I just didn't have time to update socials. I didn't have time to do anything with my website. I didn't have anything to do. Like, I didn't have time to go send emails to projects. Like, there was just no time on my plate, right? And so when you have those dry periods, it's kind of a blessing because you have that second to go, okay, I'm catching my breath right now to kind of chill for a second, but I can also kind of like slowly work these up too at the same time. And then everything looks like it kind of comes together at once. So that's, I would definitely say that those are like the best things you could be doing in dry periods for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you want to round us off with maybe some final thoughts, some things you wish someone had told you when you started out with voice acting?
There's a perception that it's very easy to have. And Jason Lord taught me this. Jason Lord is the director of one of the shows that I work for, Trillion Game. He was talking about how there is this like the secret in the know stuff that everyone knows, right? Like, oh, like there's something that everyone knows about that I don't. It doesn't exist. There are some things that, you know, like there are some like casting calls in studios and projects where like you know, they have rosters that open up at a certain time, but it's not that it's like some secret that everyone's keeping behind your back. It's like it just might not be like very widespread information. It might like, so for instance, one of the things that I was always kind of like, oh boy, this is like crazy, like to even try and get in front of was Lackadaisy was one of the shows I really wanted to get in front of. And I was like, I don't even know how to get started with this. Like, what is even going on? And so I was like super self-conscious because I was like, oh, like is there some secret like I have all these friends that are getting into it. Is there this secret like thing that I'm not doing that's not getting me into this? The answer is no. It's just they might have just happened upon it, and it just didn't get spread around or anything like that. So what happened is I went ahead and I messaged someone. I was like, hey, hey, I'm just curious, like, you know, like, hope this doesn't come out unprofessional at all, but like, if I were to like want to work towards this thing, how would I do that? And I got like, they just went ahead and gave me the answers, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool, cool, right? And so a lot of times, it feels like in voiceover that there's some secret thing of how to get into certain things or how to do this and that, and it's never truly that complicated. It's just, you might just not have people around you who know those things, and it might seem like you might be, what is it? You might not have people around you that know those things, and you might not, you might just not have the resources right now to obtain them, or it might just be simply, you know, someone that is in it, and you just need to ask the question. You know what I mean? A lot of things that, like, a lot of the projects I found out about there, I was like, oh, I'd really love to get into this, but I have no idea how to do that. Well, it turns out, okay, it's actually from the studio. So if you look up their website, it shows all of the different projects that they've worked on. Oh, well, I want to get one of those projects. Well, that's great. They have a talent roster. Go submit to the talent roster. Bada bing, bada boom. That's it. Like that's about as simple as the solution could be. And then there's projects where it's like, oh, you know, you need to get an agent because certain studios will only contact agents, and they'll get representation from their people on their rosters to audition for this. And so I was like, oh, like, is that like it must be like, oh, like a big special thing to get into an agency, which it is. It's a really special thing. But a lot, I think there's a common perception that like the agency thing is like in some way like a gatekeepy thing, but it's not like meant to be, right? It's meant to be. A lot of projects use agencies when they're like, okay, we want to have a casting call, but we don't want like 2,000 submissions. We want maybe like 100, right? And so that's how they can kind of control that. And so, but they don't know where to find those people, and that's where the agents come in, because the agents have all of those people that's trying to audition for it. So basically, the thing that I wish people had taught me at the beginning was, and it's one of the reasons why I'm so big on being educated and why I'm trying to like learn as much as I can at all times, is that there is no secret in the know way of doing things. Everyone has a different way of doing it. It's not like there aren't like these huge, like there probably is like some trade secrets, but it's nothing like that stops you from moving forward, and it's nothing that stops your momentum. You just have to find those. You just have to find it. and some of those same people are probably asking the same questions. Some people are probably asking the same questions you are, and there's a lot of actors as well who they believe that, oh, you have to be like, a good example would be, I'm sure that there's a lot of actors that go, oh, you must like had to have had like an agent and like 20 spots on your resume and all of these things to get into Amazing Digital Circus, right? Like there's probably is someone out there that is like, oh, like Scuffle just had like the in the know, like some sort of secret in the know thing that I don't know about, that I'm just not allowed to know about, or something like that. Which, would you say it's that serious?
No, not at all.
No, not at all, right?
Not at all.
Yeah, what is it? And like, what is it? So for like Glitch, for example, a lot of people are like, oh, you must have to like get an agent for that. No, you can just send something to their email and you can get added to the roster. It's that simple. Like it really is that simple, right? And so that's where it's there's some irony there. There's a lot of irony there, but it's kind of that thing that we were talking about how confidence is based on how much you know. Because if you know something, you have the skills for it, you're much more confident in how you're gonna do, how you're gonna do it, and how you're gonna deliver.
Yeah.
So keeping yourself up to date, keeping yourself knowledgeable, asking the questions of, I don't know how to get into that, so how do I get into that? Who could I ask to figure out how to get into that? What is it? One of the people that, for like me wanting to get it into Hell of a Boss at one point, I was like, okay, who could I ask? Who's like, do I know anybody who's in it that would be able to do it? Unfortunately, no. Okay, who can I look into that might have the answer for me of like, hey, how can I at least try to get in front of this? Well, it turned out that Richard Horvitz is a coach and also a teacher. So I'm like, okay, like, you know, and I'm sure he gets the question 24/7. But I never want to ever come off to a director like, oh, like they owe me anything in any capacity. But like, you know, I was like, okay, well, I'd love to learn from someone as prominent as this, because they probably have a lot of deep knowledge on animation, or just like deep knowledge on acting. And I was right. He's incredible. if you ever have the opportunity to learn from Richard, do it. But you know, like at a point I was able to ask those questions to him. I was like, hey, like, I just want to know, like, what could I be doing to work towards this thing, and and you know, then like those teachers can give you those answers, so those people can give you those answers. You just have to be willing to seek it out and ask questions.
I think just getting to know the right people, and then asking the right questions, and then knowledge is key. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, those were all of my questions. Thank you so much, Dakota. Is there anything else that you would like to say, or anything you would like to add?
Bryce Pinkham gave me a quote that I love with all my heart, and it's helped motivate me in the past year as well. It's always play faster than your worry and louder than your critic.
Okay.
There was a scene in Hell of a Boss where it's a scene where Stolas is being very flirty towards Blitz. And he's going on this long rant about how all the dates they're gonna go on together, and all the things they're gonna do together, right? Like, oh, we're gonna sit on the beach and we're gonna eat jelly sandwiches and da 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 da.
Yeah.
And Bryce had said that he had come up with that whole thing improv. He had just gone and done this whole monologue, just off the bat. And he said that if he was worried about it, and he had let like any form of like self-consciousness take over in those moments, he would never have worked towards something like jelly sandwiches. Something like that couldn't have come out. So if you allow yourself to play faster than you allow your brain to criticize yourself, then you end up coming up with some really cool stuff, and you end up being able to do a lot of really cool things. And so that's not even just for improv, that's just for a lot of other aspects of your life. Like if you allow yourself to go towards something faster than you're willing to be able to be like, oh, like what if I can't do this, da 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 da, you'll end up finding like a lot of really cool opportunities.
All right.
So that's all I'm done.
Thank you so much.